The medical pod hissed open, releasing 20 years of preserved stillness into the sterile air of the Prometheus station. Rose's eyes fluttered open, her pupils adjusting to light they hadn't processed in 2 decades. The neural interface crown disconnected from her temples with a soft click, and for the first time since the accident, she felt the cold touch of metal against her skin. She gasped, "Easy, Rose, your sensory cortex needs time to recalibrate." Alex stood beside the pod, his hand hovering near hers, but not quite touching. He'd aged. She could see the silver threading through his dark hair, the lines around his eyes that hadn't been there before. 20 years had passed for him, in real time, while she'd existed as pure consciousness in the digital void. "I can feel the air," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Alex, I can feel the air moving." The mining accident on Kepler-4 for to be had been catastrophic. Explosive decompression had destroyed Rose's body beyond repair, but humanity had developed a solution that no other species in the galactic community possessed: consciousness preservation. While the Zelari could clone bodies, and the Vryn could transfer memories, only humans had mastered the art of keeping the soul intact, waiting, aware. For decades, if necessary, the galaxy had called it barbaric, keeping minds alive without form. But humans understood something the other species didn't. Hope was worth the wait. Alex had spent those 20 years perfecting the biosynthetic body that now housed her consciousness. Every nerve ending, every sensory receptor had been grown and mapped to match her original neural patterns. But matching them on paper was different from experiencing them in reality. "Can you sit up?" Alex asked, his professional demeanor barely masking the emotion in his voice. Rose focused, sending signals through pathways that felt both familiar and alien. Her new body responded, muscles engaging, spine straightening. She sat up, and the simple act of balance of feeling gravity pull at her, of her inner ear detecting orientation, overwhelmed her. Tears streamed down her face. "I'm crying," she said, wonderingly. "I'm actually crying." I'd forgotten what it felt like. 20 years in the digital realm had been like existing in a dream. She could think, communicate, even interact with virtual environments, but there was no sensation, no physical feedback. The other preserved consciousnesses had told her you eventually forgot what feeling was like. The memory of touch became abstract, academic, but Rose had refused to forget. Every day in the void, she'd recalled sensations: the warmth of sunlight, the texture of rough stone, the sharp bite of cold wind. She'd held on to her humanity with desperate determination. "I need to touch something," Rose said suddenly. "Everything. I need to touch everything." Alex smiled, that familiar expression she'd known before the accident. "I thought you might say that." "Come on." He helped her out of the pod, and the moment her feet touched the floor, Rose froze. The cool metal, the slight texture, the pressure against her solar sit was almost too much. She stood there, processing, while Alex waited patiently. "The Galactic Council representative is waiting," he said gently. "Ambassador Threll wanted to observe your but I told him you'd need time." "Let him watch," Rose said, taking her first shaky step. "Let all of them watch humanity refuse to quit." They moved through the station slowly, Rose stopping to experience everything. She ran her fingers along the walls, feeling every rivet and seam. She pressed her palm against a window, gasping at the cold of the glass and the subtle vibration of the station's life support systems. In the botanical garden, she knelt in the soil, digging her hands into the earth, laughing and crying at the gritty texture. "The Vryn think we're insane," Alex told her, sitting beside her in the grass. "They can't understand why we'd preserve consciousness when there's no guarantee of restoration. They say it's cruel." "They don't understand," Rose said, holding a flower and marveling at the velvet softness of its petals. "Because they've never had to fight for this. Feeling isn't just biology to us, it's what makes us human." She looked at Alex, really looked at him. "You waited 20 years?" "Of course I did," he said simply. "That's what we do. Humanity doesn't leave people behind." The HFY principle that had shocked the galaxy when humans first joined the interstellar community. "We bring everyone home, no matter the cost, no matter the time." Rose reached out and took his hand. The contact sent electricity through her new neural pathways: warmth, pressure, the slight roughness of his palm, the steady pulse of his heartbeat through his fingertips. "Thank you," she whispered, "for remembering that I was worth waiting for." Alex squeezed her hand gently. "The galaxy thinks we're reckless for preserving consciousness without bodies. They think we're foolish for spending resources on maybe bringing people back, but they don't understand what we know." "What's that?" "That every human life, every human experience, every sensation and feeling, they're all irreplaceable, and worth fighting for." Rose stood, pulling Alex up with her. She spread her arms wide, feeling the recycled air of the station flow over her skin, feeling the subtle gravity generators pull at her, feeling alive. Then let's show them, she said, grinning. Let's show the galaxy what humanity does when someone tells us something is impossible. She took her first running step, then another, Alex laughing beside her as they raced through the garden. Rose felt everything, the impact of her feet, the rush of air, the burn in her new muscles, the pure joy of existing in physical form. 20 years untouched, preserved in digital amber. But humanity had promised her she would feel again, and humanity kept its promises. That was the human way. That was HFY